on the Palak Mehta show, the place to discover the secret India. Now, one of the most beautiful treasures of India was the Sufi shrine, visited by millions of people, cutting across nationalities, across religion, across genders. Any guesses? Alright, I'll give you a hint. He was a Persian mystic who came to the Indian subcontinent in the early 13th century. Yes, I'm talking about none other than the great Moinuddin Chishti. He was also known fondly as Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz. Ajmer Sharif Dargah is located in Rajasthan. Today, my guest is none other than Haji Sayed Salman Chisty, the 26th generation gaddi nashin of the Chishti Foundation. That is the key holder of the Chishti Foundation. In my last episode with Salman Chishty, we spoke about the history of Sufism, how it originated, how is it connected to India. So if you've missed that episode, please click on the link below. I've linked it right here and check it out. In this episode, we speak to Salman Chishty about the life and times of Moinuddin Chishti, some beautiful instances from the Ajmer Sharif Dargah. So make sure you watch this episode till the very end. Salmanji, thank you so much for coming on the show once again. Very honored to have you here.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Greeting of peace, salam and adab.
Salmanji, over the years, people from all faiths, from all nationalities, be it from India, Germany, France, UK, everyone has been flocking to the Dargah, been very, very attracted and drawn towards Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz. So it's widely known that, he made Sufism into a mass movement. Can you please tell us a little bit about this?
The unique part of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz teaching was that before Hazrat Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti radiallahu anhu brought the tariqah to the masses, it was only for the one who were initiated into the tariqah. Because this is a very sacred and special knowledge of the heart, which was not shared among the masses or awam. It was only for the khawas, who would dedicate their life to this path of reaching the beloved through service, khidmat-e khalq, through ibadah, devotion of the prayers, through fasting and zikr, meditation, part of recitations. But when Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz brought forth this to the land of Indian subcontinent, Al-Hind, which used to stretch from the shores of Afghanistan to the western land, to the eastern lands of, we can say, Rajasthan, and it was quite, the borders which we see today was nothing compared to the land which was in the 11th century of the land of Hind. So Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz's greatest contribution was that he made it the tariqah into the mass movement. Whether you are initiated, whether you are not initiated, the teachings of unconditional love of tariqah al-Chishtiyah was made open to everyone. Everybody was embraced. And that is the essence of tasawwuf, Sufism, is khidmat-e khalq and unconditional love. It was accessible in the sense that it was only for the people who were initiated into the tariqah, and it was among those devotees who were part of the different tariqah. Like in Islam, we have Qadriya tariqah, we have Suhrawardiya, Naqshbandiya and the Chishtiyah. So there were, of course, great murshids of the Qadriya tariqah like Sheikh Abdul Qadir Gilani radiallahu anhu, who is known as the Ghaus Pak, Sheikh Shahabuddin Suhrawardi radiallahu anhu, and Hazrat Bahauddin Naqshband, who were, of course, after Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz. They were the one who founded these tariqah into as distinguished by their respective names, as the Naqshbandiya, Qadriya, Suhrawardiya and the Chishtis. The three tariqahs are founded on the names of those shayukhs, those Sufi masters who initiated those teachings into the masses. But the tariqah Chishtiyah is not based on a person's name. The Tariqa Chishtiya comes from a Chishti Sharif.
You mean before that it wasn't accessible to the public? The teachings weren't accessible?
He opened the path of the Tariqa to the masses, to the initiated one as well as to the non-initiated ones, which continues even today, as we can see the living examples of the teachings of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz in Dargah Ajmer Sharif. The langar that is distributed is completely vegetarian. Not even onion and garlic is used in the official langars served inside the Dargah from hundreds of years, so that people of all faith can come together, sit together at one dastarkhan, one table spread, and be part of that sacred langar, the blessings, and be in shukr and sabr while inside. So there is no distinction, no differences literally when I'm saying inside the Dargah Sharif. That is what Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz has given to the masses across from last 800 years.
Please tell us, who all came to the Dargah?
Whoever comes to the Dargah Sharif, because people from all faith traditions come to the Dargah Ajmer Sharif, that whoever comes, never ask their name, never ask their religion, never ask their language, never ask where they come from. The only thing that if you need to ask, just ask, how can we serve you or how can we help you? If God has provided you the means to help or support those in need, go ahead and help. Go ahead and help them. If not, raise these two hands and pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for those persons who are in need, who need care, love, that their longing be fulfilled. And that is the basic foundation and fundamental principle of Sufism and Tasawwuf as in Arabic and Persian language.
That is so beautiful. I'm vegan myself. I don't even take dairy. So I feel very inspired when I see other people and institutions promoting kindness and compassion towards animals. Thank you so much for that. So what are Moinuddin Chishti's core principles, his core teachings?
The inspiration of the Sufis has always been the longing and belonging to the Creator. The Sufis have no wish or no will of their own self, of coming from their own self or ego or whatever you call it into the present understanding. The only longing that a mystic or a great Sufi awliyas have is to be with their beloved. That is why the Urs of Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti, or the Urs of all the awliyas, Urs is the wedding night. It's a Persian terminology, and in Arabic it is known as Arusi. Arusi means it's the night of union. That is why when the Urs of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz, which happens every year, where 1 million people come from all faith, celebrating the moment of union with the beloved. So Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz radiallahu anhu, or all the awliyas of the great maqam have only one, they have lived their life for this moment of union. And to meet their beloved into the purest form of their own being, they have dedicated their life to the raza of Allah, that in acceptance, every deed that they do, it's coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the Creator. Whether they are serving people, whether they are opening people, because as I said, Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz has also taught us that there are only two entities. One is the Khaliq, the Creator, and the Makhluk, the creation. So if you want to be close to the Creator, be in service to the creation with unconditional love. And develop 3 attributes of nature within your being so that you can serve and love unconditionally, like the nature is teaching us every day. In 21st century, just recently we have the World Environment Day, where we talked about this, where the UN is observing the World Environment Day. We shared these teachings, which is like 800 years old, but they are so much relevant in today's time, where Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz has asked us to learn from nature. What are these 3 attributes of nature? He asks us that if one is longing to be close to the Creator, be in service to the creation and develop the 3 attributes of nature among your being. Sun like grace, bounty, river like generosity, and earth like hospitality. Because these 3 attributes of nature never make any distinctions or differences upon whom they are serving. the warmth, the grace and the bounty of sun is for whole humanity, not only humanity but the whole of creation, whether they are plants, animals, any creation, anything that is a part of the creation. Sun, grace and bounty and warmth is for them. Similarly, a running river never asks anybody who's drawing its water. Its generosity is for everyone. Anyone can take the water from the running river. And earth, look at the beautiful example that earth is so hospitality. Although we as human beings have not been kind, neither to water, neither to earth, neither to the many creation which are sustained, which makes our living, our existence, our human existence sustainable on earth, we have not been honest. We have been tempering them. But this is the teaching of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz, and this is of course the inspiration from his creator, that Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz, not only during his Zahiri, we believe that his presence is still among us, in our heart, in our longing. There's some millions of people coming to Ajmer Dargah Sharif every moment. But even in his Zahiri, physical presence, he devoted his life to serving the creation with only one longing. Nothing expected from the created being, from the creation, but only one longing, and that is the longing of to be close to the Creator, be in union with the Khaliq, be in closeness, qurbat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is the inspiration for all mystics. I believe that nobody in the world can take away the langar of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz, which is available morning, evening and daytime, all the time for us. Even if they are coming from those backgrounds where they have a house, but nobody they don't even have a house on their head. We don't know which background they come, but when they come to Dargah Sharif, they are rest assured that the dar of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz
Tell us a little bit more about the name and fame that has transcended through time, that is Moinuddin Chishti.
Hazrat Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz is a symbol of unconditional love. His primary teachings was love towards all and malice towards none. And the title Gareeb Nawaaz itself is so wasi, it is so expanded, that anyone and everyone who has love within their heart can feel and experience each and every moment that they spend in Dargah Ajmer Sharif, or when they depart in different parts of India or around the world, what Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz means to present. The name of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz is was Khwaaja Moinuddin Chishti radiallahu anhu, and his Pir Murshid Khwaaja Usman Haruni radiallahu anhu, through which he got the path, and he was with him for almost 20 years, serving him and receiving the grace and the divine knowledge and spiritual understanding. As we have talked about Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz earlier, we have said that his ways were always with unconditional acceptance of everyone, which still continues even today. So, Gareeb Nawaaz, the name, the title is not something which is only for the poor. Gareeb also means a stranger. So, the strangers were also welcome, whether you know somebody or whether you don't know. As I said earlier, that never ask anybody's name. That is a part of the Tariqat Chishti and the teachings of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz.
Now, I know it's not the best thing to ask, but I am very tempted to know. Were there any beautiful miracles of by Moinuddin Chishti that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I would just say that there is no such, as a popular, of course people have many stories, but for me personally, the most important aspect of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz is transformation of the hearts of millions and millions and millions. That's the best thing. That's the best example that we can even talk about. And for miracles, for the awliyas, it's not a big deal. They smile and they bring peace to millions of people. What could be the most beautiful example of a miracle of bringing peace to the hearts of millions and billions of people? Even today, even after 800 years, people listen to the name of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz, and that sense of contentment and satisfaction comes to their heart. So those are the things that people are still, try to live up to the teachings of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz. Even after 800 years, I think that's the best examples of the teachings of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz. Each word, each teaching is a miracle. It's a miraculous gift of Khwaja Garib Nawaaz that he attained from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and disseminated. You know, a mystic, a dervish has nothing of their own. When you see how the mystic turns, one hand is towards the sky and the other hand is towards the earth. That's the life of awliya, that they receive from God and they receive from the Khaliq and distribute in the makhluk, receiving it from the creator and sharing and distributing it to the creation. And Khwaja Garib Nawaaz has always been that light which has given people hope in the darkness, given that way of life when there was no direction to live upon, and still continue even today in this blind materialistic pursuit. The life and the teaching in the name itself of Khwaja Garib Nawaaz is the message of Khwaja Sahib, which really transform people. We have seen today people how they have been transformed. They come with distress, they come with no hope, but when they look at the tomb of Khwaja Garib Nawaaz, they rejoice. The tears of distress become the tears of joy. So at times I go in the thick of the night when people are just sitting inside the Dargah Sharif. I go there discreetly, I walk around the Dargah Sharif and just observe the faces of the people. To me, that's one of the greatest miracles, that when people come from so diverse backgrounds, that even when they come from poor backgrounds, and they know that even they can have a morning meal, they are not rest assured of the evening meal. But when they come to the Dargah of Khwaja Garib Nawaaz, they know for sure that nobody in the world can take away the langar of Khwaja Garib Nawaaz, which is available morning, evening and daytime, all the time for us. Even if they are coming from those backgrounds where they have a house, but they don't even have a house on their head. We don't know which background they come, but when they come to Dargah Sharif, they are rest assured that the dar of Khwaja Garib Nawaaz, the sacred space of Khwaja Garib Nawaaz, nobody in the world can take that away from them. Even if they have houses, there might be nobody in the house to call of their own. But when they come to Dargah Ajmer Sharif, they know that the sacred relationship that they have with Khwaja Garib Nawaaz, that they belong to Khwaja Sahib and Khwaja Garib Nawaaz belong to them.
Be it Hinduism, Buddhism or Sikhism or Sufism, I find so many similarities between all of them. In the next segment, Salmanji shares the beautiful, most sacred, most precious four-edged cap with us and the significance behind it.
And the particular Taj that we have, the Chishtiya cap, I can show you कि वहाँ पे एक Chishtiya Taj रखा है, which is a four-edged cap. यहीं रखा है, इसको खोलो यहाँ. It is a four-edged cap which was given to Hazrat Khwaja Usman Haruni from his Pir Murshid Khwaja Sharif Zindani.
How old is that? Amazing.
So this is the four-edged cap which the Chishtis wear often, but it is also a big responsibility. When you take this cap, this is also part of the Diksha, you say, or the spiritual responsibility which is given from the master to the disciples of the murid. So this four-edged cap, when it was given to Hazrat Khwaja Usman Haruni from his teacher, Hazrat Khwaja Sharif Zindani, he said that this signifies the journey of a dervish. And if you are on that maqam, when you are ready on that level, then only you can wear this. What are these four edges? The first is Tark-e-Nafs. Tark-e-Nafs is giving up on your ego. Annihilation of the ego. That is the first teaching. And on the path of tariqah, on the Sufism, that is the first step, that you have to give up your ego. A darwish, a Sufi student, a learner, a darwish has to give up his ego in all ways. That there is no self. That this is not anything, it's only the presence of Ilahi, the divine presence. So the first is Tark-e-Nafs. The second is Tark-e-Dunya, renunciation of the world also. And the third is Tark-e-Akhirah. This is very, very important, and also if you tell this to any Maulvi, they will be question you that how can you say that. That Tark-e-Akhirah, that we even give up the Akhirah. A lot of people, sometimes we say, okay, we are doing this for Jannah. or we are doing this for the fear of hell. We are not doing anything wrong because of the fear of hell, or we are doing this for the love of Jannah, for the paradise or hell. So even you give up the thought of seeking paradise. First is tarke nafs, tarke dunya, tarke akhirah, and the fourth is tarke har shay illa hu. Then you give up everything, you renounce everything except the presence of who. Presence of who is the divine remembrance, the divine presence. So this is the four-edged cap of the Chishtiya, which primarily exhibit the life and times of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz, that even continues his teachings, that tark nafs, tark dunya, tark akhirah, tark har shay illa hu. And once we are in the state of the presence of them, there is nothing that comes from our own calling. Every calling is from the divine. And even if we do anything, it is serving the creation. In reality, we are serving the Creator to seek His closeness, His qurbat. That's the living example of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz. That's the life of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz radiallahu anhu. And that's the maqam, the dargah of Ajmer Sharif, which have stood high from last 800 years, day by day, serving everybody with unconditional love, even today. Alhamdulillah.
I'm speechless. I'm totally speechless.
Silence is the language of God. That's what Rumi said. Silence is the language of God. All else is just translations.
Yes, I mean, one should even go beyond the desire for liberation. That depth of surrender, it's not easy to even let go of the ultimate.
That's why, it's not easy, the path of tariqah, the path of, they say that if you are a mountain, from outside, when we talk about Sufism, now this is something very substantial that I'm going to share with my own personal life and my journeys. From outside, of course, the Sufism and, mystic life, whirling dervishes, Maulana Rumi poetry, mystic poetry looks very exotic, But once you step in, and in Tariqah and Sufism, there is no window shopping. Most of the world in 21st century is just doing window shopping, okay? We like music, Sufi music, it's so fabulous, it's so nice, and the Bollywood has played a major part in taking it to the masses. But that's not the only essence of what we're talking here. They say that if you are a mountain in the path of tariqah, in the path of Sufism, in the path of spirituality, you will be crushed so much of crushing will happen that you will become a minute particle of dust. Zarra ban jayenge. But even after that, the crushing continues. It will not stop. So if you are a mountain, the crushing will make you a zarra, minute particle of dust, and even then, the crushing continues. But on your face, there will be always a smile, but the fire will be inside your heart. When you are among people, you will be always smiling, sharing hope, giving them life, giving them beauties of world, giving them hope. When you are in the presence of your beloved, the tears, जब इश्क होता है ना उस ऊपर वाले से, तो इश्क जब हद से बढ़ जाता है तो वो अश्क बन के आशिक की आंखों से नजर आता है. तो जब तक हम वो अश्क ना बहाएं, until we shed those tears of longing and love, this is not the way that we will be in the close qurbat of the divine Creator. So to step in to the footstep of the gurus, the gurus, when we talk about Mohanji and the present day gurus, look at their lifestyle. How much they have suffered. It is just suffering which is a blessing. Baba Farid was sitting in his meditative state. Some people came to his khanika, his ashram, and asked for, they were all troubled by the world, and they came to his presence, big sheikh, big guru. He will pray for us and all things will be okay. Baba Farid, yes, aap hamare liye dua kare. Pray for us. So Baba Farid, in his state of longing, in his ecstatic state, he raised his hand and he prayed, Ya Allah, inhe dard de. What he prayed? Ya Allah in darde. Oh God, give them pain. Those people who came to seek their worldly issues solved, and they were quite, taken aback by this dua that हम तो दुनिया की परेशानियों से परेशान होकर यहाँ पे आए हैं, दुख दर्द को लेके यहाँ पे आए और ये दुआ कर रहे हैं कि और पेन दर्द दे. तो वो खामोशी से बैठ गए जब तक बाबा साहब अपने जो हालत वज से बाहर, जब उनके एक until he came out of the state of ecstasy, they were waiting patiently, and then he took his permission to explain this dua. They didn't question him that what kind of dua. They said, please explain the hikmat, the wisdom behind this dua. So Baba Farid smiled at them and told them that जब तक इंसान या मखलूक दर्द का एहसास ना कर सके, तब तक उसको अल्लाह की रहमत का भी एहसास नहीं होगा. Yeah, until you experience the pain, you will never have the real taste of the bliss and blessing and rewards of the Creator. And also, as Maulana Rumi has said, that wound, जो जख्म होता है, wound is the place where the light enters. जो नूर होता है, वो जख्म से दिल में जाता है. So its pain is an essential part of the tariqah. Pain is essential way of serving. And in our own journey, as we are talking to you, smiling, but deep inside there is a lot of pain, that has given us that strength to continue. It is not easy that, it's not easy, it's not a privilege that you're born into a tariqah, you're part of the, great Chishti traditions, which is a big responsibility. Those people who take it as a privilege, they can live and shine in the glory, but that is only for the world. But the real essence is taking up the real challenges.
As a gaddi nashin, as a practicing Sufi for so many years, many people look up to you. How have you dealt with this pain and longing for God? How did this happen to you?
In my own journey, there was a lot of pain. I was 22 when the responsibilities of the Dargah, of the Gaddi Nashini came upon me overnight. I was not even prepared. I was not even in India when this happened. I spoke to my father a night back, and the next day I got a call that he is no more. He passed away. I was in Jeddah that time, and that was a big, it's like something which I can't even explain in words. That I'd always lived with a longing of serving my father when he grew old, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never gave me that opportunity. Overnight, my life was changed. I had to fly back. I couldn't even reach in time to be at the last ride. My younger brother did everything. For 3 days of numbness, I had no idea how to take care of the house, when the ration of the house comes, how to pay the bill, let alone take care of the big responsibilities of the Dargah. So on the third day, we have a ceremony in the Dargah that the eldest son takes the dastar, the pagri rasam, in the local dialect that they say, and that the Gaddi Nashini or the responsibilities of the Dargah. So on that third day, one of my spiritual teacher, my Murshid, was also there. He was very old. And when we went inside the Dargah, here I'm sharing the story because the young people should know that submission is the key to success. When you submit, venues and doors open up which you can't even imagine. So on those 3 days of numbness, I had no idea what was happening, how I boarded the flight, how I reached here. On the third day, when I was inside the Dargah, Ajmer Sharif, at the Astana, blessed Astana of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz, at his blessed feet, when the dastar was happening, in that moment, the elders used to say here that whenever certain things happen, like when the father or the mother or the elders passed away in the family, there is in the local dialect they say that Gareeb Nawaaz my baap. We often hear that don't grieve, don't lose hope, that Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz is your spiritual mother and spiritual father. Gareeb Nawaaz my baap. This is a local Rajasthani dialect. And that moment I regained my consciousness, and in that consciousness I just communicated in the silence that from this moment that I'm in presence of your, in sacred presence of you here, that the Starbandi is happening, and you have called me into your service into this manner which I have no idea how to fulfill these obligations. Today I'm submitting myself as a blank paper at your feet. This was my commitment to Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz in silence, that from today onward, whatever I have studied, whatever I have done, I have forgotten everything. It's like blankness upon me. And in that blankness, I'm submitting myself as a paper, a blank paper at your feet. You write what you want to write. एक कोरे कागज की तरह मैं अपने आप को आपके कदमों में पेश कर रहा हूँ. आप लिखें इस पे जो लिखना है. That was in 2006. Now we are into 2020. It's been about 14 years. And alhamdulillah, I can't really explain in words that what happened, what transformed from that great moment of pain endured upon oneself to this 14 years of serving with strength, with spiritual understanding, not only in Ajmer Dargah Sharif, not only in India, but around the world. Alhamdulillah, in 65 countries, I have traveled myself in taking the message from India, the message of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz. So that moment of submission was a turning point in my life. As I can share this now, I used to not share it for a very, very long time. Now, from last couple of years, I've been sharing that moment, which even until recently my family didn't knew that this communication happened in silence with Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz. So, and this is also sharing because of the permission that we got from Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz himself. Otherwise, for last 12 years, nobody knew about this communication. So the point that I'm trying to convey through you to the masses, especially the young people, is the submission, the humbleness. Even great tragedies happen upon us. It happens us to bring close to the Creator. Only if we could follow the signs, follow the heart. And great strength comes, whenever the big responsibilities come. In the Quran Sharif, there is a verse that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never overburden His creation, whether it's human being or a ant walking on the face of the earth. Whenever you're ready for those responsibilities, they come to you. So never think you're 20 years old and you cannot do that. We know in history that people have conquered the world. They have done great achievements in their life, where in their 16, when they were in their teenagers, or whether in their 20s. And if you are not ready, even in 50 years, you might not even be able to do that. It's the belief, it's the sheer understanding of the divine presence within yourself and the Ashraful Makhlukat. Human beings are also known as the Ashraful Makhlukat, best of creation. And there are great, unlimited, unbinding possibilities within ourselves to unfold and unlearn our own possibilities. The purpose of our own creation. Why are being sent to this? Every soul, every human being has been sent into this world for a purpose and not without a purpose. And if we run into the blind materialistic pursuits, ये दुनिया की तरफ एक अंधी भागदौड़ में अगर हम भागते रहेंगे, we will first lose on our own purpose of creation, and then we will lose on the entire purpose of our existence also.
Amazing. They say that the soul takes birth in a specific location. You were only 22 when you took this huge responsibility on your shoulders. Do you think it's also the yearning for the soul to be born in such a place?
And as I said, the submission was the key. But in my own journey, when I was in school or I was a great traveler, I used to travel a lot. Even in Mumbai, when I did my graduation, I always was interested in interfaith learning. And this was, it was all sequential, I could say. This is how it came upon. It was not something planned, but it was already unfolding that after my graduation, I had an option of I did my graduation in economics and commerce from Mumbai University. And then my father gave me an option to go to London School of Economics to do my MBA. But then my heart was not into it. I had never wanted to do a 10 to 5 job. It was from very beginning. So I told my father that time that I don't want to do that, but I would want to do my research in world spiritual traditions. And for that, I want to be in the Middle East. That's why I wanted to start my research. Rather than having an MBA and academic qualification, I would prefer to be in the Middle East and start from where it all started, spend time in Mecca and Medina, and learn, do my Arabic language courses, so I have a better understanding of learning the text as well. That was all in 2001 and 2002 when I graduated. And then I went there. That's the reason. One of the reasons I was not in India. I was in Jeddah for about a year. So it all unfolded in a manner that my research, which I was doing while in the Middle East, the world spiritual traditions, So the longing has always been there. I had no idea which way it would go. And it all unfolded in the most exaggerated manner after I came back to India. So the longing was always there. And as I said that I never wanted to do a 10 to 5 job. When I came back from Mumbai, I had 6 months of break. And I told Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz also that if you want to give me a job, give me a 24-hour job. So at times we have to be careful what we are asking for. So God always listens to, so you sometimes get stuck in your own prayers.
Yes, indeed. I mean, it's a huge responsibility one can't even fathom, and it's truly a privilege that you are here with us today and guiding so many youth as well. From erstwhile kings and peasants to present-day politicians and celebrities, Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz's blessings were felt tangibly by all. In fact, in the first World Sufi Forum in 2016, Prime Minister Narendra Modi actually said, "At a time when the world is in dark shadow, the dark shadow of the world is growing longer, you are the noor or the light of home." Don't miss this next segment where Salman Chishty tells us about King Akbar's devotion towards Moinuddin Chishti.
Well, yes, Akbar was a great devotee, like all the Mughal rulers who have been quite humbled by the Sufi presence. And when you talk about Emperor Akbar, he has a special connect because he, as a famous story goes, and has been part of the Akbarnama document, where his daily scribe has mentioned his coming to Ajmer Sharif, where he prayed and he was bestowed upon with he didn't have a child, so he was bestowed upon by a son, which he named upon his Pir Murshid, his spiritual teacher, who was Sheikh Salman Chishty, whose Dargah is in Fatehpur Sikri, near Agra. So of course it's documented, but the spiritual conversation, the spiritual essence about the story is about the presence of Ajmer Sharif is the Ajmer Sharif is a place where it has been experienced that if you are presenting yourself with humbleness, ajizi, and kasari, down to earth, and with unconditional love, you will even get that something which you are not even destined. And the story of Emperor Akbar, a factual story, not just a narration, confirmed this, that when Akbar had no child, so he went to his Pir Murshid, his spiritual teacher, and he asked him to make dua for him to have a child. So his Pir Murshid, Sheikh Salman Chisty, asked him to come to him the next day after morning prayers. So when Akbar went to him, Hazrat Haji Salman Chisty told him that तुम्हारी किस्मत में औलाद नहीं है. You are not destined to have a child. But don't be sad, मायूस ना हो. हिंद की सरजमी पे अल्लाह ताला ने एक ऐसा आस्थाना अता फरमाया है, ऐसा दरबार अता फरमाया है, ऐसे वली अल्लाह आराम फरमा रहे हैं कि वहाँ आजिज़ी, इनकिसारी और मोहब्बत के साथ जाके अगर तुम अल्लाह से दुआ करोगे उनके वसीले से, तो तुम्हें वो भी मिलेगा जो तुम्हारी किस्मत में नहीं है. वो आस्थाना है हज़रत ख्वाजा मोइनुद्दीन चिश्ती गरीब नवाज का. लेकिन वहाँ एक बादशाह बन के मत जाना, एक फ़कीर बन के जाना. कि डोंट गो देयर एज अ किंग, गो देयर as a beggar, as a fakir. So Akbar took the hidayat, the instruction of his Pir literally, and he walked all the way from Agra, Fatehpur Sikri to Ajmer Sharif, that's about 450 kilometers, barefoot. He didn't even wear a shoe because he was instructed to go there as a fakir. So he walked all the way from Fatehpur Sikri to Ajmer Sharif barefoot. And when he reached Ajmer Sharif, when he prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the wasila of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz, he was blessed with a son upon whose name was kept on his own spiritual teacher, Salim. So this is the story which has been documented in Akbarnama. But there is a spiritual keynote into this, that when Akbar was walking and he was given the instruction by his spiritual teacher, so he constructed, so we understand with two things, our destinies are changed. What is the spiritual learning in this? With two important aspects, destinies are changed. So I say this, I share this story to a lot of young people in the universities also, that don't lose hope. that anything that you do, whether, in today's time, unfortunately, we are seeing unprecedented, cases of depression, where young people, if they don't get a good job, or they have some fight with their girlfriend, or even they don't have a life partner who they long for, or any worldly losses, they go into deep depression. And recently, when we see the case of this Bollywood star actor Sushant Singh, that unfortunately he was under so much of pressure. We don't know exactly what happened, but he gave up on his life. Young man, achieved so much in his life. He was successful in his own league. He had, which a lot of young people can only aspire. Even then, he gave up his life. So, what is this dire consequences? Because, we come back to that spiritual foundation. If we don't have that, no matter the amount of success we have in this world, ultimately we are going to lose out upon our own success. So I share this story and I tell them that this with two things, when we make them part of our life and services, that prayers and khidmat, dua and khidmat khalq. With prayers and service towards the creation, khidmat khalq, we can get those things that we are not even destined. So when Akbar walked from Agra to Ajmer Sharif, two big khidmats he did. He constructed along the path that he walked, the Mughal Sarai. Because in those days there were no highways, there was no motorways, and the people who used to travel in the night often get looted, or they had no place to have rest. There was no dhabas or motels in those days. So the Mughal Sarai, every 40 kos, the Mughal Sarai were constructed for the traveller to rest at the night and drink water and continue their journey. For 300 years, those Mughal Sarais was intact until Britishers laid down railways and roadways. So these were dismantled. Now even for political mileages, people are even changing the name of Mughal Sarais. Unfortunately, today's politicians. Anyway, we will not get into that part, but and the second khidmat was presenting of the deg of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz, which is even today the big huge cauldron which can cook about 3000 kg of vegetarian sweet rice, which is distributed to all the people in the dargah and nearby villages when it is offered by the devotees even today. So he offered that day. So the food that is being distributed still continues to carry the grace of the dua that was made in the Dargah Ajmer Sharif. So with what we learn from this incident, with khidmat and the dua, services towards creation and the dua, prayer, we can get something which we are not even destined.
Salmanji, I know that you work a lot with the youth. What is your message for the youth today? Times are very stressful. People are resorting to unnatural measures of relief. How does the youth of today stay grounded?
Pray करें तो ये ना सोचे कि भाई मेरी किस्मत में ये नहीं है, मैं अपनी ज़िंदगी में कुछ नहीं कर सकता हूँ. किस्मतें रोज़ बदलती हैं खिदमत से और दुआ से. This is our message to the youth. किस्मतें रोज़ बदलती हैं.
Please tell us a little bit more history of the shrine and how it has inspired musicians, singers, so many people for generations now.
Dargah Sharif have been always a place of seekers. Many famous, people who have been the rulers of the world. When we talk about the Mughal era, or the Rajput era, or even the British era, we have seen that people from always have paid their respect to Dargah Ajmer Sharif. Even today, many of the great known personalities have been seeking guidance, have been seeking spiritual reforms within a life. One big example is A.R. Rahman, that we know that how he used to come as a young person, sitting behind the kabals of Ajmer Dargah Sharif, clapping around. And even today, when we have seen that the whole world music is behind him, when he got the Oscar or the Grammy, he came to pay his respect to Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz. But the humbleness of a person reflects upon this act, that even today when he comes, he never ever tried to recite his own compositions like Khwaja Mere Khwaja, or even give a note to the Shahi Qawwals of Ajmer Dargah. He just sit behind them, maybe just clap or even not do that. He comes in the most humblest manner that nobody even recognizes him that he's a Rahman when he's in Dargah Ajmer Sharif. I think that's the transformative, the humbleness of people that reflects the teachings of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz in one's being. So over 800 years, Dargah Ajmer Sharif and the tomb of Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz has transformed millions of people's lives, brought humbleness to their life and longing. I think this is something which is the greatest gift to all those who have visited Dargah Ajmer Sharif and those who long to visit to Ajmer Dargah Sharif. I think the spiritual content, well-being and awareness of their own being within themselves.
Thank you so much, Salmanji. It was really an honor to have you again, and the purity with which you see Sufism is truly that we need to see Sufism from your eyes and just open our heart towards it. I'm sure our viewers can't have enough, so maybe we'll have a live session with you soon. And this was truly lovely. I could feel Khwaaja Garib Nawaaz's blessings throughout. So thank you again.